out of the brain, okay? And this is of an issue for me when I'm teaching and I'm teaching somebody in school. And I'll tell you something, if a kid is smoking marijuana 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times a week, then before that marijuana goes out of the system, more comes in. Before that goes out, more comes in. Before that goes out, more comes in. And it begins to build up in the brain so that if you do that for 3 or 4 or 5 months, you don't come up with a clean urine analysis test for 30 to 45 days. So it takes a while for this brain to come back. It takes a while for this to really sort itself out. I want to teach people that have this is crucial in terms of learning. Marijuana interferes with learning, and it takes a while for this to come back. And I want to say the third one here. Hang on one sec. Let me do this third one. This one here is the cerebellum. I don't know why I'm writing it, but I am here. Cerebellum. What the cerebellum does is handle coordination. Not only external coordination, but internal coordination. How do I coordinate my thoughts and feelings? Because we all got a whole lot of stuff going on, right? Thoughts, feelings, everything else. Can I put that aside and listen to this guy for a little while? You know what I mean? You try to focus in. All marijuana does to the cerebellum is slow it down. So now, I want to go back to that kid, 1972, says I can learn better in the math class. Here was a kid that was a little bit ADD. Because he was ADD, didn't do that well in school and didn't really like school. He'd smoke weed before my math class in the afternoon. Number one, it hit the cerebellum. Finally, he could sit in that class and he could chill. He could finally just hang. He wasn't ADD anymore. He could hang. It worked for the 2 hours that he was high. So now he can sit in the math class. Number two, it released dopamine, so school wasn't so bad. Now, nothing's so bad. You have a little dopamine floating around your head, right? And then number three, it would hit this, and he'd say, Mr. Cantor, you start teaching about 2s and 3s. And I go, yeah, 2s and 3s are deep. I never really thought about 2s and 3s like that. No, let's just start teaching about 4s. I'm into what you're teaching. So I'm slowed down. I feel like I can focus. I'm feeling pretty good. And I'm into the 2s and the 3s and the 4s here. So from the kid's perspective, he feels, she feels like they're learning better. It's a trick. It's a trick, and it knocks the brain out of balance. This here, once the marijuana wears off, and believe me, the people are getting cannabis cards for being ADD. And it does work for the ADD for the 2 hours. Once it wears off, it knocks the brain so far out of balance that it takes a few days. They're more ADD than they are before. So they go after the marijuana to slow them down again and again. Number two, it takes quite a while for this to come back into full working order, so I'm learning really well. And number three, I'm really messing with this pleasure center of my brain. And it's really taking attention away from a whole lot of tasks that I got to be taken care of as an adolescent. One of which is boredom. Get bored. That's God's way of telling you, get a life. Okay? Let me figure out what I need to do around boredom. Or around social skills. Or around a whole lot of things that kids need to deal with here. It can get very easily short-circuited because it's got my attention. And it works and it slows me down, makes life interesting. Heck, this really works. And the better it works, the more interested somebody is in it. It's a powerful drug. And my biggest message to kids is it's not like eating donuts. You are playing with the brain. There is something that's profound that's going on in the brain. It is not nothing. Question?
Well, it's interesting because NPR just had a story a couple days ago on neuropsychology, and they talked a little bit about this. And this one woman who was the mom of teen boys was a neuropsychologist. And she was able to say to him, okay, you're going to use drugs, this is what's going to happen. You smoke a joint on Saturday night, you got a quiz on Tuesday morning, you're not going to do so well. And that was one way of kind of giving some hard...
Thank God that the information's starting to get out there. Although what kids can see and what adults can see also is kids can say, hey, my dad's a lawyer and he smokes some weed, and he's doing okay here, And we look at it at Berkeley High, and you can see a lot of high-functioning kids and a lot of high-functioning adults that can smoke some marijuana. But does it interfere here? Absolutely. This is part of what the high is about. But, you know, does it kill you? No. Can you overdose on it? No. Does it kill brain cells? No. Well, I guess it's okay then. You know, and I say, and does it have any long-term effects? We don't know. But part of what I can say is, I'll tell you a short-term effect that could affect you later. What happens if you didn't go to school for 2 days? Does that have a long-term effect or not? This stuff is going on. And it doesn't mean that somebody is not functioning, but this stuff is going on. And does it add to depression? Does it add to ADD? Does it add to you end up getting what I call a pharmacological insult, which is the opposite of what you wanted from the drug. When the drug wears off, you feel kind of down and life is duller, okay? And you're kind of distracted a lot. Part of what we want for our kids is to be able to get a life, to be able to put their lives together. And this, in a crucial time during adolescence, really knocks this whole thing out of balance. So let's, yeah.
Just quickly, so all these things that you talked about happen whether you're an adolescent or an adult?
Happens whether you're an adolescent or an adult, exactly. It's hitting the cannabinoid sites in the brain. The thing is, as an adolescent, the brain's developing here where I'm developing interest, right. So it's taking my interest more. I also don't have any brakes on it. You know, now, heck, and I'm getting information that says it's a good thing. So now I'm really going for it. Yeah, Naomi.
So having the conversation with your children while they're in adolescence, is that a little too late then?
I would,
Because
you
their
know,
brains are already...
the time to have the conversation is when it comes up. And I guarantee in November it's going to be up. But right now, it will be coming up over and over again, and that's the times to be able to have the conversation. Now I'm going to talk about having a conversation. And having a conversation, a big part about having a conversation is listening and hearing rather than, you know, it's just occasionally can you make the intervention to do some teaching. You know what I'm saying? It's like surgery. You know, once it's open, I want to go in there and do it, but I don't want to be pushing this stuff. I want to be able to have conversations, to explore this, and to be able to talk about it. So let's, synaptic space. The dopamine is the what's important filter. That's a great way to describe it. I got that out of Newsweek about 6 months ago or so. So, this is a good one. One other one I want to mention here. So just to talk about drugs and neurochemistry, there's other feel-good drugs in the brain. Another feel-good drug in the brain is serotonin. And that's a feel-good drug in the brain. But I want to break this down because I think that there's something really deep to be said with it. What serotonin is when it gets released in the brain, you have a feeling of well-being. Now, what do we mean by a feeling of well-being? Or we mean, I'm going to get you out of here at 7:30, guaranteed. Okay, because I know you all got young kids here too. Feeling of well-being. A feeling of well-being. I have people in my life who love me. That gives me a feeling of well-being. I have skills. I know how to read, I know how to write, I don't read like a, you know, I read really well, or I can draw really well, or I really know how to talk to people really well. I have skills. That also gives me a feeling of well-being, a feeling I feel good about who I am. I have interests in life. Life makes sense. It's got some meaning for me. I have interests, I have skills, I have people who love me. I got a whole lot of things that give me a feeling of well-being. That is not dopamine. Dopamine is pleasure. Your life can be terrible, and you can still go to Zachary's and enjoy a slice of pizza, right? Even if your life is terrible, you can still enjoy somebody touching you for a while, right? You can still enjoy a movie. You can still get high. You can still experience some pleasure for a while. But once the dopamine, once the touch or the pizza or the high is gone, you're back to what's your state of being. That's more serotonin. The way I talk about it with kids, it's kind of like the difference between pleasure and happiness. Okay? And I'm not knocking pleasure, but it's lightweight compared to the happiness.